It is small, but a rat can digest this. It is made of grains that grow, grasses, things like that. All right. They also eat, and it's going to be hard for y'all to see some of this, but they also eat seeds, grains, sunflower seeds, of varying parts of stuff. I'm going to try to show you some of them.
Lift your hand, Miss Blackmon.
I'm trying to get them so that they fall. All right, let's see.
Keep going. Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Perfect.
so you can see some of the grains are very small. That's what the rat and the mice eat. All right, and from these grains and little pieces of food is where they get their energy. But without the sun, we would not have those grains for them to eat. So 2 of the things that we're going to show you today are a mouse and a rat. All right. Another thing that we're going to show you shortly after the mouse and rat is a bird. The bird seed is very, very hard to see. I will try my best to get it to fall where you can see it. It is just a very small version of the mouse and rat food. It's more like sesame seeds and things of that nature. Now, there's one other source of food I'm going to show you. These are freeze-dried because I refuse to hold a live one. But these are freeze-dried crickets.
Ew.
Okay, I refuse to hold the live ones that we do have because we feed some of our animals crickets. All right, so we're gonna start this morning. Let me tell you this too. You'll see my daughter and I using hand sanitizer a lot because between animals, you have to sanitize because the food chain, the way it works is if they smell their food on you, they will bite you. So I am putting sanitizer on right now because I really don't want to be bit by anything today. All right, so the first one I'm going to show you, he's very little. His name is Walter. Come here, Walter. Walter is a little mouse. Walter is just a little bitty mouse. You can see how little he is.
Yep. Hi, Walter.
Walter actually was supposed to be snake food, but the snake was not ready to eat that day, and so Walter became a family pet. Now, Walter eats the little bitty food, the little bitty grains, the little bitty food. He won't eat the big rat pellets, but he eats the little bitty stuff. So that's Walter. So now Walter not only is getting his food from the sun, he gets it out of the grains, he gets his energy. All right, I'm going to hand Walter back over. And this is Munch. Munch is a rat. She's much bigger than Walter. You can see that. There's her tail. She is much bigger. She does have red eyes. And Munch would eat the bigger pellets. You don't want that? Really? Okay. All right. So she would eat the bigger pellets. Now, Munch, unlike Walter, is much, much bigger. Yes. Walter, I'm getting ready to show you the difference between them. Walter is about the size of Munch's head. Hey, baby. It's okay. We're just trying to get Walter again. He's not cooperating. But you can see Munch is just loving on me. She's a very lovey-dovey. Yeah. All right. So you can see the difference in them. Big difference. This is the size of Walter. And then you see Munch. All right. So big difference. Munch, we got her when she was little bitty. She was also supposed to be snake food. But she was not eaten by the snakes. But she was fed with a bottle by my daughter, and this is the adult Munch. She does go to the vet, just like your dogs and cats would, to get checkups. All right, we're gonna put Munch up. Now, the next animal I'm gonna show you, we're not gonna take him out of his cage. She is still working on behavior management with him, trying to teach him how to behave. You just heard him in the background. His name is Waylon. Waylon is a bird. He is a parakeet. Now, the only reason I'm showing you Waylon is because I want you to get an idea of what I'm talking about. Waylon, turn around, buddy. See if I can get him to, there we go. Maybe you can see his face. Waylon would eat the small seeds and grains. All right? But if Waylon was a little bit bigger, a parrot, a hawk, something like that, he would also eat the mouse. And depending on how big he is, he might eat the rat. So the bird is part of a food chain for a mouse and rat, depending on his size. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of sanitizer here. All right, the next thing you're going to see would definitely eat the mouse, the rat, or the bird if she had the chance to. But she doesn't ever have the chance to. This is Bianca. Bianca is a cat. You know what cats eat. She is the smallest of the 3 cats we have. She's very gentle, but in a food chain, she would eat the bird, the mouse, or the rat, because that's their food in the wild. No, please don't. I really don't want your claws in me. Thank you. So, I know you've all seen a cat before, so I'm not going to keep her out very long, but she is part of the food chain. All right. Now we're going to move to some of the animals that you actually see behind me. These are tanks. In these tanks, we have 3 tanks with snakes. We have 2 tanks with lizards. Or 3, I'm sorry. We have a tank. It's actually up the top. It's kind of foggy right now. It has tree frogs in it. We have a chameleon, and we have a bearded dragon. So you're going to meet some of them today. Let's do Spiral. You see my daughter behind me working. This is my daughter, Rebecca. All right. This is Spyro. Spyro is a bearded dragon. He's the one that eats our crickets, live or freeze-dried. He doesn't care. He'll eat anything. But he is also on the food chain for cats, wild cats, for big wild birds. If he was out in the wild, he would be eaten by them. This is as big as this beardy will get. We do have another bearded dragon, but he's in my other daughter's room, so I won't be bringing him out, who's Mushu, and she is probably 2 or 3 times his size. She's bigger. But they would also fall on the same food chain. If you notice, all of these animals will fall on the same food chain. It just branches off in different directions. So this is Spyro. Say hi, Spyro. He's looking at you guys. Yeah, you see them all? You notice when I turn my hand, he keeps his head focused on you. That's one reason we ask you to keep your mics closed, because sometimes these have a tendency, when they have loud noises, to bite and Trust me, we don't want to be bit today. All right. I guess spook.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
What about the symbol?
Oh, yeah. All right, so the next one I'm going to show you is very small. She is a snake. Her name is Worm, and you'll know why her name is Worm in a minute. She is a sand boa. So she's from Kenya. She eats very, very small mice.
I'll hold that if you want to.
Go ahead. Rebecca's going to hold her for us because she's very easy to strike because she's still so little. Actually, I can get her. Just let her come over. Come on. Come on, baby girl. All right. All right. I've got her in my hands. You can see she's very, very small. All right. And her name is Worm because she looks like a little worm. But she is a sand boa. Okay. She does eat live mice. Okay. But she would eat the little mice. She would not eat the big ones like Munch. I'm going to hand her back over. She's a little feisty. When they're small like that, they tend to want to move around a lot. They tend to try to side strike, to do other things to you. So you don't want to handle them too much. The next one we're going to show you, her name is Spooky Noodle. Now, we got her when she was about the size of Worm. And you will see how big she is now. She would actually eat a rat the size of Munch that you saw earlier. That's what she would actually eat. Hey, Spookster. All right. This is Spooky. Okay? Spooky would actually eat, like I said, the size of Munch. Yeah, I know. Now, these animals right now are very active. They're active for two reasons. Number one, it's still early in the day. And number two, today is feeding day. So they are looking for food at this point. Now, Spooky was our first snake. She is a ball python. But she is very tame. She's very good. We've never had a problem with her. But you can see, I'm starting to stretch her out a little bit. You can see she's pretty long. All right, baby. So, but she would eat the mice, the rats, even a small bird. But then if you think about the bigger birds like the hawks and the owls and the bald eagles, they would very easily eat her. All right. So the next one we're going to show you, her name is Banana. I'm going to let Rebecca handle him right now while I handle Spooky. He is also a ball python. Banana is also a ball python. He is a little bit smaller than Spooky. The rats we would feed him are a little bit, be right in between Walter and Munch. He's about a year old. Yeah, he's about a year old. Spooky's about 2 years old. But we're going to try to show you the difference in size from a 1-year-old to a 2-year-old if we can get them to stretch. Hey, babe. All right. They're both wanting to stay a little curled, but we'll try. Where are you going? I don't think so. All right. So you can see the difference is pretty significant between a year and 2. So the size of rat they would eat is going to be different. All right. So, if you think about the food chain, not only are there several food chains that each animal belongs to, but they all go back to the same common thing, which is the sun. Okay? The sun is what gives them the energy because they have to eat something that's been in the sun that they've had. That's why I started with the grains and the small bits of food, because they have to have that, which feeds your mice and rats, which feeds your snakes, your cats, your birds. Then your birds feed your cats, and some small birds feed your snakes. And then some of the larger birds feed on the snakes. So you can see how just the little grains of food goes off and becomes the energy and food for the food chain of several animals.
Miss Blackmon,
Yes, ma'am.
there's a couple of questions. Would you like me to ask you or wait?
Go ahead and ask.
The first one is from Luciana. She says, how many years does she have for Spooky before she dies?
30 to 40 years.
And then from Jasmine, what was the name of the yellow snake again?
Banana.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. So, as you can see, this is still considered a baby. She's only 2. Okay? And she's the largest one we have. If you can see, I'll show you my hand. See how she's got her tail curled around my hand? That's for safety. She doesn't want to fall, so she's holding on. Okay? I'll show you her face again. She's using her tongue. You can see her using her tongue. She's smelling around. Like I said, she's looking for food because today's feeding day. All right? So she's just being patient, waiting on her food. So she knows that later on today she's going to get a rat. Now, one thing I would love to show you, but we don't have any snakes doing it right now, is when they go into what's called shed. Snakes, as they grow, shed their skin. And I wish I had one to show you, but I don't even have a shed to show you. When they go into shed, their eyes become what's called blue. It's a gray color. And their skin, the outer layer, comes off and they grow a new skin. That's because they're getting bigger. Okay? As they get bigger, unlike us, they don't just grow. They outgrow their skin and have to have a new skin. So, but chocolate's not in. No. We don't have any in shed this week, so I can't show you that. But a lot of times when they go into shed, after they've shed their skin, we get a rather large snake skin that we can pull out of their tanks, and we can throw away, whatever you want to do with it. But it's kind of cool to see the shed and watch them knock it off themselves. A lot of times they'll scratch against their rock, which pulls it off of them. Other times, and I believe she's had to do this with Spooky, there's been some shed left on her, and you have to take them and very gently scrub it off, because sometimes the shed just won't come off. But it's important that it does come off for the snake's health.
Ms. Blackmon, we have another question, please.
All right.
Slevin from Miss Benjamin's class wants to know how many rats would they eat?
Spooky eats one about the size of Munch every 2 weeks. Banana eats one that's kind of what we call mid-size. It's between the size of Munch and Walter. And again, every 2 weeks. The tiny little one I showed you, the Samboa, that we named Worm, she actually eats what's called a pinky. And it's about as big as the first half of your pinky. So look at your pinky and go down to the very first line. That's about how big the mouse is that she eats. Now, if you're looking at that, you're thinking, man, that's not very big. You're right. It's a baby. most of the times, it doesn't have its eyes open. It doesn't know what's going on, and that's what she eats. As she gets bigger, she'll move up in size. Okay, because we've gone from Spooky eating what's called a pinky all the way up to now she's eating full-size rats. So
someone wants to know how many feet is Banana?
But Banana's about 1.5 feet, and Spooky's about 2.5, maybe 3.
This is a really great question. Do they take a bath?
The mice and rats, we don't actually bathe them, but we have wipes that we wipe them down with just to help them keep clean. The snakes do not take baths. They have big water tanks in their tanks, and sometimes we'll find them laying in them. That's just their way of cleaning themselves. But other than that, no, they do not take a bath.
All right, a couple more. Do you have any fish? And then how many pets do you have altogether?
All right. No, we do not have any fish at this time. And altogether we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, 23. 23 total.
All right, and then there was, are they dangerous at all?
Of course, the dogs and cats, they're your usual. They'll scratch, they'll bite, when they're playing and stuff. The mouse, he will bite. He just nibbles. He's not of any danger. The rat, she'll nibble on you. She's not of any danger. The snakes are the only thing that we have that are dangerous. Now, all the snakes I showed you are not venomous. That means they don't have venom. So if they bite you, they're not going to put any poison in your system. All right? What they do is, Spooky, for instance, if she bites, I'm going to try and put her... I'm going to try to for just a minute. All right. If she bites, she has... Let go. She has a row of teeth, like several rows of teeth. And if she bites... If she bites... You're okay, baby. If she bites, the easiest thing for you to do is to spray her with water. Because they cannot live underwater. And they get sprayed and they release and move. But the worst that could happen is she bites, but like I said, it wouldn't be a hospital trip or anything like that. It would just be a matter of not jerking your hand away. Because if you jerk your hand away, it's going to tear your hand up more because they have rows of teeth. But actually pushing in on their jaw or putting them in water and they'll release.
All right, a few more. They want to know if the snakes are friends. Do they drink anything? Do you sometimes forget their names?
Okay, no, we don't forget their names. Their names pretty much represent them. Yes, the water bowls in their tank, not only do they rest in them, but they do drink the water out of them. And yeah, as far as being friends, I don't know that I could call them friends, but we can get them all out. And they will slither on each other and kind of be with each other, such as friends, such as, come over this way a little bit. So you can see Spooky and Banana are with each other right now, and it's not phasing either one of them. So if that's what you consider friends, yes.
Well, we have a request. When is Banana's birthday?
In September.
Yes, Jasmine, I'm reading yours. Miss Blackmon did say they can bite you sometimes.
Sorry, babe girl.
Oh, how many snakes do you have altogether, Miss Blackmon?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. We have 4 ball pythons. All of them are a different, what's called species of ball pythons. Morph. Spooky is just a regular ball python. Of course, Banana is a yellow ball python. He's what's called a banana. Then we have one that's darker, very dark, and we're not getting him out because he's not as tame yet. We haven't worked with him. His name is Chocolate. He's a dark, almost the same dark color as Spooky, but he's that color all the way around. And then we have one by the name of Jar Jar. Jar Jar we do get out, but I did not bring him in today. He's what's called a lesser, and his colors are very similar to Spooky's, except they're lighter and more pastel.
We have another question. Sorry.
No, you're good.
I mean, they want to know if they go to the bathroom.
Yes, they do. After they eat, you will find in their tanks, we find long pieces of what's called excretion. And they do. They go to the bathroom just like anything else.
Which snake has bitten you the most?
We've fortunately not been bitten by any of them yet. But
what was the first pet you had?
The first pet would have been our dogs.
Oh, which one is your favorite? That's a good one.
My favorite would probably be my Chihuahuas that you're not seeing right now.
Yeah, because they want to know if we're going to see all 23 pets, and I told them in the chat box, no.
No, there's no way I can show you all of them. Like I said, some of the snakes aren't, I don't want to say aren't as nice, but they're not as social, and so they're not ready to be out. We can't let the dogs in when we have the snakes out and the lizards out, because they don't get they want to play with them, and the snakes and lizards and things don't understand that. Cody, who's the biggest dog we have, weighs about 45 to 50 pounds, and Cody doesn't get along with anything, so it's hard to let Cody come in and get along. I may let him come in at the end so y'all can see him.
Somebody wants to say, are you going to show us the chameleon?
We can try. The chameleon is not, he doesn't like to sit on your hands. So we're going to try to pull him out as long as he's on one of his, hey Banana, goodbye, see you later. As long as he's on one of his branches, we can pull him out, so we're going to try to. He was on a branch earlier, so we're going to check that out. Any more questions while she's looking?
The names of the snakes, which we already said, Spooky, Noodles, Worm, and Banana.
Yes, and then Chocolate and Jar Jar.
Oh, Chocolate and Jar Jar. Do they fight with one another?
No, they do not.
Okay, they do not. Guys, I already told you Spooky Noodles' birthday was in September. I guess everybody likes Spooky Noodles. They want to know if you will show them the frogs, the tree frogs. You said you had tree frogs.
Yeah, right now they're tanks in what's called a fog, and we can't get them out when it's in a fog because they're natural in the rainforest, and with the fog they must have that to survive. And so unfortunately, because of that, we can't get, their names are Bingo and Bongo, and unfortunately we can't get them out. They're not the type of frog you would actually handle. They're just more for you to look at, to see, things like that.
They want to know, how can you tell the gender, if they are boys or girls?
Size. On the snakes, it's by size. The female's bigger, right? Yeah. The female snake will be bigger than the male. All right, we do have the chameleon, so she's going to show it to you real quick.
Oh, he's cute.
Yeah, he doesn't like to be handled a whole lot. He does eat the crickets, and the dry crickets. The reason she has him on the green thing right now is he would rather be on his logs or his branch instead of being handled. And if she were to put her hand down and let him come onto her hand, which we're not going to do, he actually turns black because he gets mad that he's not where he's naturally supposed to be. All right, she's going to put him up before he decides to jump.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. But yeah, the size is how you tell the difference between a male and female snake.
Oh, they want to know what the name of the chameleon is.
Mean green.
Mean green.
Yeah. I'm sorry, it's little green.
Oh, little green.
Yes.
Okay.
I thought it was mean, but it's
girls,
little.
They do change colors.
Yes, they do.
And we have a lot of, they love the names of little green. Great questions, boys and girls. Thank you. I'm glad that I opened the chat box.
Are there any other questions about how the food chain works with these animals?
Okay, boys and girls, food chain questions. So far, none, Miss Black.
Okay.
They just want to know if they can play together.
Yeah, they can associate with each other. Like I said, as long as we don't get the cat out or the mice or the rat out or the dogs out at the same time we have the snakes out, we're okay. Remember, if we were to get the rat out with Spooky at the same time, Spooky's going to eat that rat. Doesn't matter what we do, we can try to keep her away from Munch all we can, but if she gets too much, she is going to eat her. That's just part of the food chain. It's not that we want Munch to get eaten, so that's why we keep them separated, but she is most likely going to get eaten if we have her out at the same time we have Spooky out. If we have one of the other snakes, Chocolate or Banana, out, and we get Walter out, Walter's not going to survive, because once the snakes get to Walter, that's it. They're going to eat him. Okay? I'm going to hand Spooky back over.
Mr. I had a good question.
Yes, sir?
He wants to know which ones are carnivores, herbivores, and omnivores.
All right, so the snakes are carnivore. The mice and rat and bird would be herbivore. Your cats would be herbivore, carnivore. Do we have any that are?
All the lizards are omnivore.
Yeah, all the lizards are omnivore. The frogs are carnivore.
They only eat bugs.
Yeah, they eat bugs and crickets and things like that.
That's all I have.
Come over here. As you can see, Rebecca's a little bit more used to the snakes, so she's got Spooky around her neck. She does carry Spooky around a lot like that. She's taken her out in public several times like that, because Spooky just trusts her and is good with her being around her neck. And I know for some of you that's weird, but that's her life.
I used to have a ball python too, and Zachary used to like to lay around my neck also. Another great question. Can snakes eat other snakes?
Yes, they can.
Not these snakes.
Not the ones we have, but yes. Another snake can eat another snake. I don't know.
Any other questions? How many mammals do you have?
How many mammals? We have 3 cats, and we have 5 dogs.
These are mammals too. Hey, these are mammals.
Oh yes, and the mouse and the rat would be a mammal.
And then, so how many reptiles do you have?
Reptiles, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Huh? I didn't even count them because they're amphibians.
They want to know if they get to play outside. I would assume the ones in the cages probably do not play outside. Probably maybe the dog or the cat.
Correct. The snakes and the lizards, if we took them outside, they would be gone. That's just their nature. So when they play or when they come out of their tanks, they just kind of lay on her bed, lay beside her. We hold them. Sometimes we'll let them down just to kind of slither around, but we have to keep a close eye on them so we know where they're at.
All right, boys and girls, do you have any other food chain questions or anything like that for Miss Blackmon? Oh, who would eat Little Green in the food chain?
The cat would. Possibly a dog if he's hungry enough.
Like here in the wild, a snake.
Yeah, snakes would also eat them, depending on their size. Like Little Green's size, the Samboa could not eat her because that's too big for her. But Spooky could definitely eat her.
Snakes and birds are the only predator in the wild.
Now, we have a question. Would the snake possibly be able to eat a dog?
Some snakes.
Some snakes, yes. The ones we have here at our house at this time, no. But there are cases of pythons that have been, 18, 20 feet. Yes, those could eat a dog.
Another great question. How long does it take for food to pass through a snake?
At least a week. Ours go 2 weeks between feedings. That's just because when you feed them, of course, you're buying either live rats or mice to feed them, or you're buying what's called frozen, thawed and frozen. So we only feed them every 2 weeks because you want them to actually be hungry and you want them to eat. Because Miss Blackmon doesn't want any more pets. That's how I keep getting pets, is because they don't eat. So we feed them every 2 weeks with hopes that they'll all eat. Now, if they are in shed, they will not eat. So we do have to check that on the days we're going to feed, because if they're in shed, there's no reason to buy them food. They will not eat. However, we've had a couple snakes that go 4 weeks without eating.
They want to see the dogs, but I said probably not because you're showing all the reptiles at the moment.
Do they want to see the little dogs?
Boys and girls, would you like to see the little dogs?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
All right.
Yes.
No, put it in the chat box, please. Thank you.
All right. We're going to put Spooky away, and I'll go get Emma and Ella. So give us just 1 minute.
All right, so boys and girls, while she's doing that, she has to step aside because, again, like she was saying, we've been talking about the food chain. If those reptiles are out, again, the dogs might be tempted to want to try to eat the snakes. So, yes, you can think of like a whole food chain, definitely, yes. You think of basically how the food chain works out in the real world. Yes, you can think about that. Do you know if they do not want to eat? Yeah, Flavia, basically, we need to have muted mics, please. Miss Pinker used to have a ball python or a boa constrictor. I honestly don't remember. All I know is his name was Zachary. If Zachary was shedding, he was not in the mood to be eating. Zachary, my snake Zachary, used to eat sometimes 2 to 3 weeks. And like she said, because it's a gradual digestion that they go through, it would take maybe sometimes exactly up to a week to 10 days to digest that I was given. Oh, we need to mute our mic, please. I hear some background.
All right, Rebecca, can you unmute my
Please-
camera? And
Please talk to me in the chat box, because I do not need anyone turning on their mics. She is going to get the little dog. Oh, okay, she's back. So
All right.
no fight.
So I have Emma and Ella. Emma and Ella are our Chihuahuas. This is Emma. You can tell she's significantly smaller. She weighs about 4 pounds. Yes, I know. And this is Ella. She is bigger. She weighs about 6 pounds. They are sisters. They're from the same litter. We are in the process of getting ready to start training them to be diabetic dogs because my husband is diabetic. And Chihuahuas are one of the better dogs for that because they'll alert you when the sugar goes too high or goes too low. There's a special scent that a human puts off when their sugar changes. And Emma's very interested in watching Spooky Noodle be put up, so that's why she's not looking at the camera.
Uh-oh.
Now,
here's a good one. Can dogs smell cancer?
yes, there is known cases where they did. Now, these two dogs have been raised with a cat, so typically we can put them around any of the cats that we have and they're fine. It's just a matter of if the cats are comfortable with them. Now, these two are very playful. They like to run around. So sometimes, especially Emma being smaller, she'll get on the cat's nerves and they'll swat at her, but they are pretty friendly with the cats.
Guys, you would not let all the pets all out together. I've already answered that question because, again, some of the animals might be tempted to eat all the other animals. So thank you again for that question. And they want to know if you have a bunny, and if you don't, would you like one?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to put Emma down. She's squirming. No, we do not have a bunny. And even though my daughter behind me is saying yes, she would like one, we don't have anywhere to put it right now. So, eventually I'm sure we will have a bunny, but right now we do not.
Are snakes dangerous when they have blue eyes?
Yes. A lot of times when they have the blue eyes, again, they're shedding, and they cannot see when their eyes are blue. So, yes, if they smell anything on you that they think is food, they're going to strike. I don't know if you can see behind me. Emma is investigating all the animals to make sure they're in their homes.
Yeah, Emma's saying, can she see Emma?
Emma, meet Emma.
Emma, there's Emma. Oh, somebody wants to babysit.
What would they like to babysit?
Who was that? Edinson, what would you like to babysit? The snakes.
The snakes. Yeah, those are a little hard to babysit. When we go on vacation, we actually have to have somebody that comes into the house and house sits for us because everything has to be fed. One of the things about reptiles and snakes that a lot of people don't know is that their tanks have to keep a certain humidity in them. So you'll see what Rebecca's doing right now behind me is she's using a sprayer. She just sprayed banana because we had banana out. She'll spray into Spooky's tank here in a minute. Go ahead and use it.
They have misters. I'm just looking at them. They have misters.
I know.
That's way to rest them.
Can you spray? The humidity has to stay. We have what's called a humidifier type device. It almost looks like a temperature gauge in their tanks, and the humidity has to stay at a certain range, or we're risking the life of the snake. So we do have a lot of control as far as what they do. You'll see she's going to miss Spooky now. She's got the big mister bottle, and she just missed the tanks. And you see, sometimes the snakes don't like that, so they'll go in there rock. But That's to keep the humidity in their tanks to the right level so that they don't die.
Another question. Can your animals be nervous like human beings?
Absolutely. If you show fear around any of these animals, they will react. Just like a dog. If you show fear, like if I were to show fear around Ella, she's going to get nervous and fearful, and there's a chance she'll bite me. Same goes for Emma. Same goes for the cats. They're going to have a scratching technique, of course. They're going to scratch you, claw at you. The mice and rat, they will bite, and they will bite hard if they're scared. I've seen a parakeet. I've seen, when it was anxious and scared, I've seen it bite all the way through my mom's thumbnail. The snakes, if you show fear around them, of course, they're going to strike because they don't feel comfortable.
What would happen if the food chain stopped?
Well, let's think about this. If all of a sudden we don't have sun anymore, the grains and the grasses aren't going to grow to feed the mice, so the mice are going to die out. Then the rats would die out. Then the cats would have to scavenge around. They might eat bugs for a little while. They might eat birds. But pretty soon, the birds and the cats will die because they won't have anything to eat, which then turns around to the snakes, the lions, the tigers, all of the bigger animals eventually dying because they don't have meat.
And yes, mice can eat other mice, boys and girls.
Yes.
Oh, really good question. Can the COVID-19 virus affect the animals?
No, COVID-19 cannot spread to animals. Interesting fact, though, something that does kill a lot of animals, a lot of in-home animals every year, is the flu. They do have what's called dog flu. And if they get that, it can be very serious to their health. So the vets offer a flu vaccine for dogs.
I did not know that.
Yes.
All right, any other questions? Because we have 9 minutes left, because boys and girls, you have to get ready for your ELA classes. Do snakes sleep?
Yes, they do. Mostly during the day. During the heat of the day, they're in their rock, they're hiding. You can see over here, she's got lighting on most of them. That simulates daytime for them, because you have to simulate day and night in their living condition. So most of the day, they will be under their rocks. We've got one that loves to go under her water bowl, but they will be out of sight. And then at night, when all the lights go off, and she's got it synced so they all go off at the same time, so she can sleep too. When the lights go off, we can actually see the snakes coming out and seeing everything and crawling through their habitats and looking for food.
Do they go out to play?
The dogs do. The cats come out. We do get Walter and Munch out and let them run around, usually on Rebecca's bed, and we just play with them. The snakes usually come out one by one unless Rebecca's fiance is here. If he's here, they might take two out at once, but they do take them out, because if they wouldn't take them out, they wouldn't have the socialization that we have right now, and we wouldn't be able to handle them.
Ricardo, if they were all in the same room like before, because we're talking about the food chain, some of the snakes would probably want to eat the mice, because again, that is something that they like to eat. The dogs might want to eat the mice. The dogs might want to eat the snakes. So yeah, so she most likely would not have them all out, all 23 of her pets out at the same time, honey. Do dogs only eat dogs?
No. Dogs will eat birds. Dogs will...
They're omnivores. They eat whatever.
Yeah, they eat whatever they want, basically. If you've ever seen a wild dog, usually we call them coyotes, wolves. They do have some wild dogs at Animal Kingdom. they would eat pretty much any meat you put in front of them.
That goes back to Mr. I's question about a carnivore, a herbivore, and an omnivore. Can snakes climb a tree for their food?
Yes, absolutely. You saw how Spooky was around my wrist. She can actually wrap her tail around something, climb, wrap her tail around something else, climb higher. Yes, they can.
But your snakes stay inside.
Correct.
Yes. Do you bring your dogs out at the same time or one by one?
These two can come out at the same time. Now they cannot come out at the same time as the 45-pounder because he tends to think that they're good food. He also sits on them, which is not good for them. And because they're so small and agile and fast, they actually scare him to a point that he would get nervous and he would bite them.
If the snakes were to eat chocolate, I know about dogs can't eat chocolate, but if the snakes were to eat chocolate, would they die?
Yes, they would. No chocolate for any animal.
Okay. Yeah, I knew about the dogs, but I was telling my students real quick that when Zachary used to wrap himself around my neck, one day I was eating my spaghetti and there goes his tongue.
Yep.
Going into my spaghetti.
Yep. They use their tongue to smell. Emma, that's enough.
Are they smart? I would assume the reptiles.
They are very smart. Just like humans, they have certain paths they go and do things. They have certain ways they do things. They have certain ways, the snakes especially have certain ways that they strike to get their food. Like all the ball pythons, they strike forward. The sand boa, however, has to have the food off to the side because she strikes to the side. So, yes, they have their own personalities. They have their own feelings. They have everything that a human has. It's kind of interesting once you get to working with snakes to find out that their personalities are totally different. Like I said, we can't get Chocolate out because Chocolate has been fed in the tank he's in right now. And so therefore, every time you open his tank, he's in the striking position because he thinks he's getting food. So we're actually getting ready to put him in a different tank so that we can start socializing him a little bit better. And he will not be fed in that tank. He will only be fed in the current tank he is in.
All right, guys, you got 1 more minute because, again, you're going to have to leave by 11 because, again, that is your time for your break, your lunch, bathroom, water, or whatever. Miss Blackmon's 2 classrooms, you're going to need to stay a few minutes after so she can take attendance. Mrs. Keeker's 2 classrooms, I have already taken your attendance. So, can Banana eat human food?
No.
Oh, is there homework?
Absolutely. Study your food chains.
Yes, study your food chains, especially my class.
You know what would be fun for you to do is take the animals I've shown you today and draw the different food chains off of just the grains. And, of course, the sun would be your main thing, but then the grains and the seeds they eat, and see how many branches you can get off those seeds and grains.
So, again, think about the smallest animal to the biggest animal and what they need to eat to survive. And then certain things can branch off. If you watch the Brain Pop video, I'm pretty sure that they did show you some type of a diagram of how a food chain does work out in the real life and how things can branch off from one another.
All right, guys, it's time for you to get to ELA, but I want to thank you for coming into my home today. There was a lot of you. I want to thank you for keeping your mics off. That really does help because if we would have been distracting, there's a very good chance we could have gotten bitten today. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. I hope you learned something. And we will see you guys on Monday. My class, I've already got your attendance done, so you're allowed to go ahead and go. And we will see y'all on Monday. Bye.
Thank you, Ms.